What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Trapper channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy's Leads, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Brand new camera. You're getting me in HD, baby. What in the world? Something like that. I don't know. Jordan Klein. Really helpful. Really helpful. He's not producing this because he's lazy, but we got producer Jacob here, per usual. Excited to have my guy along for the ride for another week of NBA, and it's kind of a wonky week. We have 12 games here on Monday. Going to be a huge slate, lots of plays, lots of props already out. That's useful for me because, props have been an absolute print fest here. Went two for two on the old Jalen Duren double-double. How that came back to minus 110, minus 115, and then it closed minus 135 is beyond me. And then we were able to smash, absolutely smash, on 21.5 points plus assists for one Dennis Schroeder. That was a fantastic one. I couldn't believe that number when I saw it. He had 26 in regulation, goes a little bit berserk there in the overtime period against San Antonio. But again, we're not talking about Sunday. We're not talking about last week where the locks diminished as the week went along. We still are up for the season here in the locks department and the likes. Well, the props have been printing, so we're going to keep that going. You can also keep it going over at Bet365 here. There are 6 states where it's available, that being the great states of Ohio, New Jersey, Virginia, Kentucky, Iowa, and Colorado. If you're in one of those 6 states, congrats. You can bet $5, get yourself $150 in bet credits, Imperial credits. It'll be really good stuff. We want that. Yeah, that was like cross of Pokemon and Star Wars. I don't even know what's going on, but I know what's going on there. $150 in bet credits if you sign up. If you're 21 and over, 18 and over in Kentucky, and if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. But lots to get to here on this 12-gamer, lots to talk about. I'm not going to dilly-dally too much. Producer Jacob just got done watching the Vegas Raiders absolutely smash Jacob. I bet the Giants because I suck. Let's get to the picks. We begin our tour with Golden State on the second leg of a back-to-back, also Detroit on the second leg of a back-to-back here. And I always talk about these things because they matter when you're talking about betting on professional sports, especially a team like Golden State, where, throughout the years, they rest a lot of their veterans. But news came out here a little bit before we started recording this program that they're going to play all their veterans on the back-to-back. And if that tends to be true, if we're not getting lied to, and Steve Kerr is a damn dirty liar just like the rest of them, but if we get everybody playing straight up here, it's a pretty efficient basketball game to be looking at. But I'm going to bring this up here now, knowing full well that the props are not available for this one yet. But Jalen Duren, what happened to this line? It came back down to earth, minus 110, minus 135. Do people not realize that he got hurt, that there have been some wonky game scripts, that he was minus 300 at the tail end of last week? I don't think they realize any of these things, but we do here on this program, which is why if this opens around minus 150, you just jam it again for a unit. You'd make it a lock. But for the time being, I'm going to go Jalen Duren to double-double, just a lean. Again, Golden State, we have a lot of news that needs to break on their side of things. Need the confirmation that Steve Kerr's not a damn dirty liar, although I already know that he is. And then the Detroit side, obviously, we got to get some confirmation that everybody's going to be good to go on the back-to-back out of the core group. Again, Jaden Ivey, Alec Burks, I thought it was a good upgrade there. And even with Jalen Duren getting ejected with the double flagrant foul or whatever the hell it was absolutely absurd. 2 flagrant fouls, but he goes for 12 and 11. He's going to absolutely do that again if he gets similar run. 31 minutes against Phoenix. Expect more of the same here against Golden State. Come on, Looney, Draymond Green. Not going to slow my dude down on the glass. What an absolute choke job on Sunday by the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, I pretty much make any time Victor Wembanyama is playing basketball appointment viewing because he does things that I've never seen. Some of the looks that Kevin Durant was giving him, they are more than called for. He is absolutely absurd. Unfortunately, this is a tail end of a back-to-back and a tough one to get a gauge on what we're going to see from him. And Lindy's not on a tail end of a back-to-back. There's no basketball Tuesday. There will not be a Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks or anything going on in the association on Tuesday. So Lindy has an island set up where they are playing a young team that's trying to limit a 7-4 generational talents minutes to a certain extent. You're not going to play him 38 minutes out of the gate in back-to-backs and things of this nature. And, well, coming off of overtime, he played 38 minutes. I got to think that this doesn't bode well for Victor Wembanyama's minutes in this spot. Again, he's young. You can look at it from that standpoint, but he's 7'4". And like, I know Pop is not going to want Wembanyama playing 34 minutes here in this spot, just throwing it out there. And that creates a little bit of an issue as you're looking at San Antonio. I think the line opened pretty darn efficiently. And you can see against the spread, you're down money betting either one of these teams throughout the season. It's just, we're staying away from some of those. Again, spreads, you got to beat early and often, and you got to beat news. And those are the times that we really hammer them. In fact, there's only one spread on today's show. And of course, it's an 11.5-point favorite that we're going to be betting. So yeah, it is what it is, friends. And the prop streets, that's where it's fruitful. And that's where we are looking at Tyrese Halliburton. Have you watched him play basketball this season? The Iowa State legend, and by legend, I mean that we had him for like a month. He gets hurt. We turned into shambles afterwards, but he has a 53% assist percentage in the early going of this season. 53%. It's like Stockton, but then he scores the basketball and he's smart with the basketball and he's so fun to watch. If you can watch any guy play basketball day in, day out, you pick Victor Wembanyama first. Second, I don't know. Luka Doncic whines a lot for my taste. But I will say, Tyrese Halliburton, he's like every high school basketball coach's dream. Like, he is their absolute wet dream where it's like, oh, you feel very, very good about such things. But Tyrese Halliburton's going to be especially awesome if we can get in a game script that makes some sense and he takes advantage of a San Antonio team on a back-to-back. They are on an island spot. He came back healthy, played on the back-to-back 34, 37 minutes, and racked up 13 and 12 assists in the process. So we just jam him here, right? He hasn't had any fewer than 11 assists in a basketball game this season. Bruce Brown surrounds him with a little bit more shooting. This is just such an amazing spot for him and Miles Turner to just play their pick and roll game. Miles Turner 4 for 5, 3 for 5 from 3. If he continues to be effective in knocking down three-pointers, shooting right around 39% here for the season, this Indiana team is going to be fun. And Tyrese Halliburton is going to be the main reason why. I'm looking at laddering him up to 14. I know there's a lot of single game parlay props that we're looking at. You can attach the Indiana Pacers, not Indianapolis. What am I talking about? That's the Colts. Indiana Pacers. We are definitely looking at them possibly as a money line candidate. Make sure you're shopping for the best odds, though. Go to the money line section and then just cross-reference. Put in the single game parlay build on FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Caesars. Take a look. See where the best portfolio it exists. And again, I'm going to ladder those, so I'm kind of progressively going up to 12, maybe a full unit there or a half unit there. Then up to 14, you're looking at like a quarter unit or half unit, depending on where this number opens. I just know Halliburton's going to smash tomorrow, so let's enjoy that. This game is really tough to get a hold on. We have Dallas that is currently just wrapping up their basketball game here on Sunday. 96-94, they ended up coming back here in this one. Charlotte was up double digits early, got out of the gate hot, and, well, that's never something good. PJ Washington just having a field day over there. You're looking at LaMelo Ball probably running into a triple-double of some kind whatsoever. What in the absolute bloody hell is that sound? That was me. Anyway, that was on my end. Don't mind me. New camera, new problems. But the Dallas Mavericks +1 against Orlando? I mean, there are trap lines, and then there's whatever this is. Wendell Carter Jr. going to be out with this broken finger. Markelle Fultz got upgraded to probable, but you're looking at Dallas being just 1 point favorites, 1 point dogs here in Orlando. It is such a wild, weird line for me. I think it's actually pretty efficient, and that's because Orlando, I think we've been a little bit higher here on this team than most. That's worked out okay. 5-1 against the spread. Just saying, there are times that you want to be early and often on the teams that you believe are going to maybe not be contenders, but be better than the market is projecting. That's what we're early in the season doing here, is trying to get a gauge for these teams at the same time that we get our money in good. I think that's where the Orlando money line would actually make the most sense here. I really like the complexion of this team. Paolo Banchero playing at a high level. You saw what he's capable of in multiple dimensions on the floor. 10 assists with 25 points against the Lakers. 39-5 against Utah the time before that. This is an Orlando team that is firing on all cylinders here. Yeah, Wendell Carter being out, not ideal for them, but It's not like Dallas brings the most imposing centers. They're starting a rookie day in, day out. Maxi Kleber more than likely missing this one here again, considering he was out on Sunday with this toe issue. So, yeah, lack of depth for Dallas on a back-to-back for Dallas. Does Kyrie Irving play on the back-to-back? I don't know. This is a pretty easy spot here. I think maybe Orlando Magic I should upgrade from the lean as I'm talking through it, but the data says keep it at a lean it shall be. And the data says, fuck it here, Washington and Philadelphia. Oh my God. The Washington Wizards, it's almost laughable, some of the numbers that we're looking at here. Let's talk through what the Washington Wizards are. First of all, they're 1-4. Not exactly good. They are first in pace in the NBA by nearly 3 possessions per 48 minutes. Maybe slow it down and play in the half court rather than be an absolute joke of all jokes. I'm looking at you, Cameron. I don't know. This Washington team is just garbaggio, the construction of it, and why you would ever want Jordan Poole in any trade that involves Golden State. You got to understand what you're running into there. I know you got to sell tickets. I know you're excited about. What are you excited about? Bilal Coulibaly? I don't think so. He's fine 9th, 10th piece off the bench, but what are we doing here, Washington? And somehow they're 3-2 against the spread. These are all closing numbers, so they're double-digit dogs here in a lot of spots, and this Philly team is one that I think I've just kind of turned a corner with here. After trying to get in the early going, attacking Maxey, attacking Embiid, not really attacking. It's not like I've targeted them because they're both obviously ridiculously good. But we're seeing some decent enough bench productivity, if you will, here from the Phoenix side. And Tobias Harris, talked about it last playoffs. I think he's looked a lot better. I'm not sure if he had some kind of a health deal last year in the early goings of it, or if he just didn't work alongside of James Harden, who is so ball dominant, so not going to go around and share it here. But Tobias Harris, legitimately been good, shooting 65% from the floor, 44.4% from 3 in the early going of this year. If that continues as your number 3, that is a really good spot. Starting to live up to that contract a little bit more at a time. Robert Covington, Nicholas Batum, they obviously have the Clipper Foundation where they were filling in the gaps over there for years and years and years. And now you add them to a bench of Danuel House, DeAnthony Melton, who's probably going to be starting a lot of times, also off the bench. Patrick Beverley, another bench piece. This bench has gotten surprisingly good. And I didn't even bring up Paul Reed, who is the truth of all guys playing 14, 16 minutes a night at the center position, backing up Embiid. What am I saying? Anyway, Philadelphia, minus 11.5s are available here. And Washington's really bad. Philadelphia's pretty good. And this is actually projecting out closer to 13.5 for me. So 11.5 at BetMGM, minus 105. That's a nice number. You want to run over there. You want to bet it. And I don't want to get in a habit of betting too many double-digit favorites. But this one's a smash. Washington is just terrible. Ugh. Milwaukee. Milwaukee. That's what I was saying to my dog. Hey, you want to go to Milwaukee? And then he gets really excited. I don't want to go to Milwaukee. Nobody does, except for where Damian Lillard did. Portland's playing good basketball. How about Portland on Friday? Where are the haters now? Where are the haters now? Oh, Eric just takes Chong. Money line Portland. Friday night. Just saying. Nobody would ever play me. If you watch this program one time, you know that I'm nowhere near a chalk donkey. But Milwaukee, minus 5.5 here going up against Brooklyn. You know the guy. You know who we're going to talk about, right? Actually, I'll just hold this one off for 1 second just so that I at least give you something on the Milwaukee side. I'm starting to feel a little bit more encouraged. We got the push on 5 points, 5.5. If you got burned by that, I apologize. I will send you a fruit basket in the mail. But Giannis Antetokounmpo, nice to see 36 minutes here. First time that he reached that minutes allotment. 22, 8, and 6. It's going to take some time to figure out some spacing. And Chris Middleton still keeping to low minutes. But first time he played over 20 minutes against the Knicks there on Friday night. That is very encouraging for a Bucks team that looks way better with him out on the floor because their bench just falls off the map. It really, really does. I know Jay Crowder coming off the bench, and you look at some of the lineup constructions. Talk through that on Lindy's Locks Update over on my X at Eric Lindquist. Go follow me there, giving you a prized information about all of my plays here. An hour and a half, 2 hours before lock. Sometimes, a little bit shorter depending on show schedule. But what I'm saying is Chris Middleton, very important to have him out on the floor as opposed to Pat Connaughton. Campaign in the membrane, who's now fallen out of this rotation to a certain extent because he's just not very good. Only 12 minutes here against the Knicks. We'll see what happens. He played 9 minutes on opening night. I think that's like the role he should have. If you're really struggling for offense, bring in Campaign, let him play terrible defense, let him chuck, let him try to create, let him be spastic and do whatever else you need to do. But that's the Campaign role. Let's go to the Ben Simmons talk, because this is going to be painful for a lot of people. I know Ben Simmons, again, it was like a quarter unit play or a 0.1 unit play when we're talking the triple doubles. But even with foul trouble, we've ran into 3 fouls now, but they've been earlier on in the games in Miami and Chicago. Both of those, they should have been smashes. He got dinged up, got hurt, came back in, still played 33 minutes there against Chicago. Again, 34 minutes in that Miami game. That's the one that he got dinged up in, and it was painful. But 8, 9, and 6. He is knocking on the doorstep. And when you're betting things that are plus 1,200, plus 1,400, when we're talking triple doubles, you have to understand you're going to lose a lot more than you're going to win. But what happens to the numbers in the adjustment period? And one of the things that I felt very comfortable about, it didn't end up hitting, but we were talking plus 230, plus 250 for Ben Simmons likes. Now, I don't always go out of my way to like things unless I see immediate lines, but I can talk through it, and the people who actually listen to me and don't just skip to the plays, then we can talk through this together and we can have good information. Yes, one thing that changed from last one, and everybody texted me about it and everybody tweeted at me about it. What do we do now that Spencer Dinwiddie's back? We chill. Spencer Dinwiddie, yes, he's going to be somebody who absolutely is going to steal some assists, going to snipe some assists. But when you're talking about somebody who's playing the 5, Ben Simmons, they've gone to a lot of small ball lineups. And this was always the construction and the idea of this basketball team to begin with. Get as many wings as possible. The Mikal Bridges, the Dorian Finney-Smiths, the Royce O'Neals. Get them on the same team, play really good defense, and come playoff time, put Ben Simmons at the 5. That was always going to be the game plan. They have started utilizing that lineup a lot more as Nick Claxton's been out, because Day'Ron Sharpe, you just don't want him out there for 20 minutes a night. He's too flat-footed. He's not great in the pick-and-roll defense. And overall, he can be somebody who can give you some minutes, some size up against a Giannis for a quick second. But, no way is he nimble enough to be able to contain him. Not that most people are, because our guy Giannis is pretty good at the old basketball. But Ben Simmons at the center position gets me really excited for his rebound opportunity, because you go through some of the numbers this season, he's going to have to be the main rebound catalyst without Nick Claxton out there. It's just a foregone conclusion. So the double-double numbers, can we get a little adjustment here? Because Day'Ron Sharpe, 30.4% rebound rate in 70 minutes when he's on the floor. But if he's not going to be sharing it with Ben Simmons, that's your number 2 at 16.7% rebound percentage on this team. He carries a 30% assist percentage, which is probably going to maintain somewhere in that ballpark with Spencer Dinwiddie there. For me, working through the data really has me in love with a double-double here for Ben Simmons, assuming we're better than plus 200. Now, if it doesn't end up there, I apologize. Punch me in the face tomorrow, virtually, of course, because you can't actually do that. I don't know. Some people might want to. Producer Jacob would never do that, right? He punched the camera. It was really rude. Look at this happy idiot. He's happy because apparently he's in one of these 6 states: Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, New Jersey, Colorado, Iowa. I'm not, but if I were, I would be this happy, because then I could bet $5 at the link below over at Bet365, one of the most reputable sports books in the world, and I could get $150 in bonus bets. Yeah, it's as simple as that. If you're in Colorado, Iowa, New Jersey, Ohio, Kentucky, or Virginia, my friends, bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. It's really that simple. There's also this first bet safety net up to $1,000 where you could bet up to $1,000 on something. If you've got the bankroll for that, fire it up. Sounds great. If you don't, bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. It's as simple as that. So head to the link below. If you're in one of those 6 states, take advantage of it now. 21 and over, 18 and over in Kentucky, And if you have a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the picks we go. Producer Jacob's a noted Ben Simmons stan. I'm pretty positive he's just looking up lines and trying to figure out what's going on with Ben Simmons because now he's on tilt. He's on tilt. Dude, they're good bets. I get it. You're not going to win all of the good bets, especially when they're 2-1, 2.5-1. If you can flip coins for 200-1, you'll do it for the rest of your life. Just saying. Not that that's flipping coins. This isn't flipping coins either. What the fuck, Lakers? 1-5 against the spread. Miami, 1-5 against the spread. What are we doing? Both of these teams playing way worse than anticipated by the public. Miami, we actually expected to be an absolute dumpster fire. But this Lakers team is due for positive regression. Now, I went to a couple of nice places where you could fire up some bets and you could do some things and chat with some friends. And, well, there were some whispers that, LeBron James is going to play 30, 31 minutes a night. No, Darvin Ham's a damn dirty liar. And everybody who said those kind of things to me needs to be smashed to the moon. He played 29 minutes opening night because it was opening night at altitude. They were losing to Denver. And since then, he has played in 35 minutes in all but one game, 35 or more in all but one game the rest of the way. And I just want to drop kick Darvin Ham into oblivion for being a damn dirty liar like the rest of them. There's no hope for humanity. It is what it is. But 35 minutes, 36 minutes of LeBron here looks pretty tasty, doesn't it? Yeah. Tyler Hero ended up having one of the more surprising stat lines of the season for me. 24, 10, and 9. This is not a guy who rebounds the ball at a high clip. Averages, 5.7 of those per game. A lot of his, he's running around on the floor, plays 38 minutes a game, and therefore a rebound rate's going to have to come with it to a certain extent. The assist rate, well, they played through him in a lot of spots. It was a little bit strange to me. 9 assists, that's on the high end. I want it at least on your radar that Tyler Hero can do these kind of things because I didn't think he could do these kind of things. Neither did Portland, or they would have pulled the trigger on that one. And then people wouldn't say the NBA's rigged. Oh, Damian Lillard's in Milwaukee, even though Milwaukee's not playing the best basketball right now. But we're going to bet the Lakers here in this spot. This is undervalued. Even money, plus 102 here on the Lakers side. Miami became just the absolute perfect team to bet against at the beginning of this season because of the priors. Because somehow, some way, they luck boxed themselves into the NBA Finals. Yeah, you heard me. Luck boxed themselves into it. They were down a bajillion, 18 to Chicago in the play-in game, and would not be here if it weren't for one good half of basketball. Isn't that wild to think about? We wouldn't be having this conversation. It'd probably be, hey, Boston just won the NBA title. And now what do we do? Oh, yeah, they got better. Great. Cool. That's probably the conversation we would have. Instead, Denver gets an absolute walkover. Like an absolute walkover in Miami. Lakers money line. Don't even want the points. Just give me the money line. Half unit. One of the beauties of having props the night before posted is I'm able to export the data directly off of OddsShopper. Again, OddsShopper. This is where you want to be shopping for the best odds. And one of these was identified by OddsShopper. Another one doesn't have a line. Now that I see the line available, I was able to react to it and know that it's 100% right. This is the one that came directly from OddsShopper, and I love it. I love it. I love it. Julius Randle. What are you doing, bro? We're playing in the Garden here, hosting the Clippers. You know what we're getting. And especially knowing that Tuesday, nobody's playing basketball. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, you know it's going to be full blast play. You know they're going to be out there doing their thing. But this is a line that I think just needs to be bet immediately. And I'm going to be targeting Julius Randle. Have you watched him shoot a basketball this season? I'm not going to say he's hurt. I think his ego might be a little bit hurt coming off of the postseason getting benched because, hey, you go from playing 42 minutes a night because you're Tibbs' boy to now being limit in your minutes usage to a certain extent. He played 39 against Milwaukee. That game got competitive, but have you seen him shoot a basketball this season? If you haven't, wait until you hear this number. I know this needs positive regression, but hold the phone. He is shooting 27% from the floor. Julius Randle, a power forward who's supposed to be your best player. He's not Jalen Brunson, but he's supposed to be your best player. He is shooting 27% from the floor. He is shooting 22% from 3, 22.5 to be exact. So technically 23 if you're rounding up, but 22.5% from 3. These are abysmal numbers, and you can't possibly, against the Clippers, knowing Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, pretty much just a good defensive front is going to be in your face nonstop. A defensive front that so far this season has just been drastically improved, because when you have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on the floor, it should be. They're top 10 in adjusted defensive rating, 9th to be exact. Going back to last season, they were 17th. Yeah, that's the Kawhi Leonard, Paul George on the floor, both healthy effect. And Julius Randle, could he knock down 2 threes and make you look stupid here in this spot? Sure. But the number is just off here. Under 1.5 threes needs to be your priority bet here in this one. And I know that sounds a little bit wonky, and not everybody wants to go out of their way to bet these because, oh, I don't want to bet unders. And, oh, Julius Randle, he's due for positive regression. Yeah. But what if he's fucking hurt? What if something is wrong with him here right now? Because 1 for 9 from 3, getting uncontested looks. Like, just nobody guarding him there. 0 for 6 against Cleveland. He's hit this number in 2 of 5, but like he's gone over this 1.5 in 2 of 5. But like eventually, when you're shooting 27% from the floor, you don't get this kind of leash anymore. You just don't. And RJ Barrett should be back. We'll see. He's questionable, but like that's going to take some of the usage. Anyway, lots of ways that this pans out. Julius under 1.5 threes. Love myself the under. How about 2 for the price of 1? The Utah Jazz taking on the Chicago Bulls. Chicago, woof. 1-6 against the spread. Thanks for coming. Have a nice day. Again, get rid of Zach LaVine. Get rid of, I don't know, everybody while you're at it. Just flatten out like your Oklahoma City 2 years ago. It worked out pretty nicely for them. As long as the NBA incentivizes you to be terrible, you should be terrible. You should just never be in the middle. And Chicago, they're not even in the middle. They're kind of terrible by default. It's tough to watch. Nikola Vucevic, DeMar DeRozan. I like DeMar DeRozan. He deserves a little bit better here. But I'm actually looking at the Utah side because there's a couple of interesting things that are happening with their rotations here of late. Let's talk through it. Talen Horton-Tucker, been in the starting unit primarily the entire season, but yeah, 24 minutes against Minnesota. They got doors got blown off of them by Minnesota on Saturday. That's the Lindquist parents effect. Just throwing it out there. When they attend games, the Timberwolves do good things. Denver, Utah, 2-0 on the season. Good job, Mom and Dad. Keep it going. I have really nothing else to add. Also, I bet the Atlanta Falcons, and my dad took the Minnesota money line on Sunday. So, like, I've said enough F-bombs. Screw me, basically, is what we're getting at. Good job, Dad. Thanks for taking my advice. I won for the day, so it's fine. Thank you, NBA. But anyway, we're going back to this. Utah Jazz, Talen Horton-Tucker. I'm not completely in love with the Iowa State veteran here. I think there's a lot of ways that the under is in play here. Chicago, while not, I mean, they're doing some interesting things with their rotations themselves. Patrick Williams, he's disappeared into the abyss. Torrey Craig now taking over starting duties. That's a purely defensive thing. And then Alex Caruso, other than the Denver game that got really wonky for them, losing by 22, you saw him play 26 minutes in 2 of the previous 3 against Brooklyn and Indy. Kobe White's not good. You don't want Kobe White out there in crunch time if you can help it. However, I guess that's at least better than Javon Carter, than a lot of other guys. Aya Dosunmu, who's just like out of this rotation entirely now. I guess he's questionable for this game technically, but like he's only going to play 10, 12 minutes at most in those kind of situations. But I think Talen Horton-Tucker, just because of the defensive matchup that he's going to be forced into, a lot of big wings that we're looking at here on the Chicago side in Patrick Williams, Torrey Craig, that's kind of his calling card. DeMar DeRozan, while not a good defender, at least is long. Lots of ways for me for shorting Talen Horton-Tucker with a healthy Jordan Clarkson, with a healthy now Colin Sexton, with a lot of these other pieces that are just going to be taking up more of the minutes going forward. I don't think there's enough for it to go around. But one guy that this number just jumped off the page to me is 23.5 points. That is way too low for Lauri Markkanen. So we're going to front load it with this one here. Again, 23.5. He's averaging almost exactly that, 23.3 in the early going. But shooting 44% from 3, yeah, that could probably go down a tiny bit. Shooting only 46% from the field, that could go up a little bit. And then it's a Chicago spot where if you're going to take Patrick Williams off the floor a little bit more, and they probably should because of how bad he is offensively, he's kind of got the premier matchup here. If you're going to play small ball, take Walker Kessler off the floor, put John Collins there in crunch time. They've been doing that more and more. I think this is a fantastic Lauri Markkanen investment. I expect him to be averaging 25, 26 per game by the end of this season. So 23.5 feels like an easy get it right spot. So 23.5 points for Lauri Markkanen. We like the over. The PRA, though, Taylor Horton Tucker, I'm going to be taking the under for that one here. I think both of them are strong plays. Again, pay attention to the juice, pay attention to the line movement. And if you have any questions about any of my plays ever, hit me up on X at Eric Lindquist. I'll be happy to explain if there's something that's changed. And then, I'll just tell you my opinion. One of the worst things when it comes to hearing analysis from other people on the web is when you say, hey, but this happened last time they played. Hey, Houston just beat Sacramento by like 20. Well, cool. That was last game. That doesn't do anything for predictive forecasting, anything. It doesn't do you any good to simply look at the last game's box scores and say, oh, well, he went for 30 last time they played them, although like nobody did. This game was low scoring and disgusting and just one of those games that you write off if you're the Sacramento Kings. Domantas Sabonis, again, they're going to be without De'Aaron Fox. He doesn't have a dance partner. Davion Mitchell, far more defensively minded. Although, I will say one player that was kind of impressive to me in limited minutes, Colby Jones. He played 17, 18 minutes, and defensively, he jump off the screen a little bit to me. Kind of like his 17, 18 minutes here to be able to do some things stout defensively. Thought about just firing the under immediately here on this one without even like looking at it, but I thought better of it because Houston, they've had one of the more radical shifts in pace this season. Have you seen? Let me explain. 28th in the NBA, Houston is 97.6 possessions per 48 minutes. Only Chicago and Toronto are playing at a slower pace than Houston. Makes sense. You get Fred VanVleet, never really the most fleet of foot. And then you have Alperen Şengün. You want to play through him because he's a very smart offensive player. Defensively, yes, he has his warts, but at the same time, like what he's able to provide this team. And, well, you continue to have extra minutes because Amin Thompson, somebody who's going to play 14 to 20 minutes a night here as a rookie. I'm not going to call him the inferior Thompson. The jury's still out. We haven't seen him play enough here, but we'll see. Asar has been playing pretty darn good. Anyway, we're looking at the Houston side of things, and, well, I think it's pretty targetable if this line opens where I expect it to. Just people like to bet what just happened a second ago. I bet Houston ends up flooding with the money, and that makes Sacramento, even without De'Aaron Fox, my primary spot to target here. I think Malik Monk, you're not going to run into a spot where he's not going to be on the floor, 26 minutes? We played 26 minutes of him in a blowout. I expect 30-plus minutes from him in these spots going forward. Again, I'll repeat, Colby Jones can play himself some defense. If he gets himself a jumper eventually, that's a player who we'll talk a lot more about. But Sacramento, I'm looking at the money line here. I'm assuming we're getting some nice plus money going their direction. Houston, these are pretty flat. I don't expect an 18-point loss this second time around. We got 3 games to go. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as we go to the Eric Lindquist versus producer Jacob extraordinaire game of the night. Boston, only -4. Again, it is the trappiest shit I've ever seen. Boston -4 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. You just saw Denver -3. And what happened? Minnesota put their foot on the necks of Jokic and company. It was an absolute throttling, the likes of which the world has never seen, mainly because we have the best center in the NBA, Naz Reid. So that's always cool to be able to have him out there living his life because he got to know 3 for 5 from 3 in the show. Against Denver, he was actually just 1 for 3, but he was 3 for 5 from 3. Have you watched Naz Reid play this season? He's so freaking good. He's averaging 16 points per game in just 23.3 minutes per game. Like, what are we doing? Why do we pay Rudy Gobert? Anyway, we're back. I'll cry later. cry every day. Over 226.5. It's just going to be a lean for me in this one. I don't have a whole lot of analysis. Boston, they're really freaking good. Derek White probable for this one, getting him back. Minnesota perfectly healthy. When you see two perfectly healthy teams, really hard to extract any kind of value whatsoever. This game is going to be a stay away, although it's the main event for me, for Jacob. Almost did it. I was going to. You were doing it over there. You're the mean person. You're an instigator, okay? I can't do it. They'll screenshot me forever. I want to, though. Oh, no. Shea going to be out again here for Oklahoma City as they host the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta 3-3 against the spread, which is surprising because every time I watch Atlanta, I want to turn the game off immediately. Other than Jalen Johnson, DeJounte Murray at times, watching Trae Young dribbling around the perimeter and shoot, 28% from three like he has been this season? I hate it. It's not my favorite brand of basketball. Just throwing it out there. They get rid of John Collins. John Collins is playing just fine in Utah. Maybe you were the problem. Probably were. But welcome to Atlanta where the players play and they ride on them things like every day, except for in this spot as they face Chet Holmgren and company. And yes, I'm leading with Chet Holmgren because this dude is pretty alive for Rookie of the Year. I understand Victor Wembanyama is by far my favorite rookie to watch, and everybody else is, and he should be the rightful favorite. But something happens to Victor, God forbid, or if Chet Holmgren puts up a quadruple double, which I had this conversation with somebody the other day. What would you set the line on a quadruple double in the history of the career for Chet Holmgren? For a little context for the people, triple doubles in NBA history. I know, obviously, our guy Tim Robinson has, and there's only been 4 of them up until this point. Wilt probably had a bajillion of them, but they didn't keep track of the defensive stats then once upon a time. But Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, those are the 2 that really, really stand out to me. 4 in total, though. That's always cool. Just letting you know, Chet Holmgren is like the most live dude that I've seen in my generation, as in he's way younger than me, but you know what I'm saying. Chet Holmgren is very live for a quadruple double. Again, it has to be plus money to some extent, but I was trying to set a fair line for that. But I'd be curious what you guys think about that, because I think that's a very interesting puzzle. I would never bet it, but it would be really fun to set a line for like his career to be able to do it. Anyway, I'm just humoring myself. The only piece that we know, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's out. Anything else that happens here would be completely surprising. You should know by now that usually means that I want to stay away from something, but au contraire. This is where I think the Chet Holmgren bet against comes into play. I just did all of this. Oh, he's playing phenomenal. I really like to watch him. He's shooting 62.5% from the field. Do you know what he's shooting from three? 56.5%. When I see something like that and I plug it into a sheet and then numbers are basically saying, hey, if he shoots a couple threes, he's going to make all of them. I just lose my mind because he's only attempted 23 on the season. He's 13 for 23. That grades out to 56.5%. He hasn't attempted more than 5 in a game all season. So I'm fading 40% from 3 Chet Holmgren in this spot. Every time I run the numbers on it, it becomes one of my favorite plays on the slate. It is not a lock. The only lock we have on the slate is coming up next in the program. But Chet Holmgren under 1.5 threes is a near lock for me. Under 1.5. Again, he just doesn't shoot enough of them. He's averaging 29 minutes per game. They've had some wonky game scripts. Again, 141, 139. Defense was optional there against Golden State the other night. They've had some blowout losses against Denver, blowout wins against Chicago in the opener. I really like this under. And the main event of the evening, the Denver Nuggets hosting the New Orleans Pelicans here. We'll say it's the only game that starts after 8 p.m. Eastern time, which is fascinating to me. How this NBA schedule, who is in charge of the NBA schedule and where can I send my complaints? How do we have 12 gamers on Monday, no games on Tuesday, weird things happening with the in-season tournament that nobody cares about? What are we doing here? Also, these floors make me want to just It's like the gif of like where they're holding the lady's eyes open. I use that all the time. You're all going to screenshot that to me. See, these are the problems with doing bits like that. So we're going to talk through this. New Orleans Pelicans, they get Brandon Ingram back into the fray. Lovely, lovely stuff to see. And here's my big concern about this entire game. I think with no CJ McCollum, who has one of the weirder diagnoses I've ever heard. I really feel bad for this guy. Hearing about his right lung and how this just continues to be something that collapses on him. It collapsed 2 years ago. He's 32 years old. You just want him to be like happy and healthy. He's a professional athlete that we care about for those purposes, but like he's also a human being, and that sucks. And Jamal Murray, his hamstring issue. Well, he only played 10 minutes against Chicago. They ended up having a blowout win. They're going to be really, really thin. But in the past, one of the main reasons that we went to Jokic triple doubles is that Jamal Murray got healthier and was knocking down open shots, and they were pick and roll partners. Why is it that I still like the triple double here for Jokic so much, to the point where it is the only lock on this program? I will tell you, it's because Jokic has to demand more double teams from a team like the Pelicans, and you get a Jonas Valanciunas and Zion Williamson kind of combination here. Jonas Valanciunas is going to get himself played off the floor. He is going to get played off the floor here, and he's going to be creating, and I don't know what to make of Peyton Watson in the early going, but with a healthy Michael Porter Jr. knocking down shots here, I think this is still a spot that you want to be invested on the triple-double, assuming that we're getting better than plus 170. Plus 170 is kind of the break-even number. Was going to look at some PRA numbers for him here as well. They just dropped while we were on this program. He's sitting at 50.5. That is a bolstering number here, friends, but no triple-double line out here yet. But let me tell you, it has been north of this number the last few. And Jamal Murray, well, it does suck to have him out here for the assists and the assists alone. I think there's enough with KCP. Yeah, you know me, Michael Porter Jr., and maybe Reggie Jackson able to play some healthy minutes here in the starting unit. He shot 3 for 5 from 3 last time out, shooting 36% from 3, which is actually improvement for him. If Reggie Jackson, he's going to probably screw me out of this. Like, I see this in my future. 26, 10, and 9 for Jokic. My wide open 3 to finish out the game for Reggie Jackson, and he just hits nothing. Put it in the stars. It's happening. No, it's not. Nikola Jokic, absolute lock, my friends. Triple-double on Monday. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. You know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist here on Monday's 12-game slate. There are going to be so many goodies fired up in that premium Discord. Again, a massive 2-0 day there in the NBA streets with a unit and a half and a unit play there. Felt really, really good. Got some profitable prize picks, underdog cards going on as well. If you guys want to sign up for that, stokastic.com/Lindy. You can sign up in the link below. We also have Bet365. Talked about them throughout. So many great offers in that video description box below. Not just Bet365. We've got BetMGM. We've got a lot of sports books rotating in and out. You want to be checking those out on the daily and taking advantage of everything. Again, Odd Shopper, it's about shopping for the best lines day in, day out. That is what we do at this company and program and all of the things. Anyway, producer Jacob, thank you so much for attending a Vegas Raiders, just smashing and then making your way over to me again. It's good to have you back, my guy. Really have nothing else to say. Until next time, friends, until Wednesday. What? Until Wednesday. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Monday.